And this is where my story began to unfold to where I had what you might call a spiritual awakening. I got home and I was living with one of my best friends, and we were getting high all the time. And now, mind you, Carolyn, she's still clean right now. She never relapsed. And when I got with my best friend, we called him Fly. Fly was a cool dude, another white dude. That's my man. I love him to death. He's my best friend. He's one of my best friends. And I ended up staying with him for a while, but it got so bad that his landlord told me he had to kick me out because there was too much drug traffic going in and out of the house. And so I ended up staying with this girl, man, and like her life was a catastrophe. Like it, and I didn't care. She had kids. And I used to go to her house and eat up all her food, and her kids needed diapers and pampers, and always smelled like piss. And no dishes were ever done. She never had food, and all my guys would come over there. We just like ran her house, like we sold drugs in her house. And I remember like coming home after like going to work and coming home with a paycheck and smoked it all, and would give her $20, and she had 4 kids, like. And I'd feel so bad that I'd stay in the room and just cuddle in a ball and cry, man. I'm laying on this pissy mattress, and and I couldn't believe where my life had ended up. I couldn't understand how I got there. And I screamed out, God, I need your help. Please help me. Please help me. It didn't happen at that moment, but I'm going to tell you, 3 days later, for somehow, some way, Fly got a settlement, so he gave me some money, and just to go out on the weekend. I didn't have nothing, and he felt sorry for me. He knew I needed to get high. I couldn't do it on my own. I didn't call my mother, my sisters. I was too embarrassed, and I went to another friend's house, and I had like $80 worth of crack in my pocket, and all kinds of paraphernalia. And he asked me to drive to the store for him because they didn't do crack. They didn't smoke weed and drink, but they were smashed. And I wasn't there. I had done crack for so long I wasn't high no more. I couldn't get high no more. And but he asked me to drive, and I didn't have a license. Well, just drive us to the store. So we got to the store, and I'm like, oh man, this is not good. This is gonna be bad, right? And they were drunk, and so when they came out of the store, they had beer, and they were screaming, woo, all this stuff, and holding blunts up in the, in the air and talking about all this stuff. I just came to get some toilet paper, right? When we pulled out, I saw the cops pull out behind us. And I'm like, oh man, I take a left, cops behind us. I take a right, cops behind us. We're about from here to that picture. When the cop pulled us, all I had to do was get there. And the cop pulled us over. Pulled me out the car. They let them go. They stashed all their drugs in the back of my seat. So I got charged with all those drugs. The cop's in my pocket, and every time I go in my pocket, I knock his hand away because I had all these drugs on me. And he's like, "Listen, man, if you do that again, I'm gonna have to like really, subdue you by force." And finally, he did it, and I knew I was done. I knew I was done right there. I was caught. I was finished. And I looked at the cop and I said, "Listen, man, I need help. I need help. You gotta take me away. I don't care what you do. Just get me out of here." He didn't even cuff me. He must have saw the sincerity in my eyes, like I was done. I was just finished. I was beaten. I was beaten. And he took me to jail. He gave me a cigarette. The cops don't never do that. I ain't never got a cigarette when I got arrested. He gave me a cigarette, and I spent like I spent like 22 days in jail. And when I went to the judge, he let me go on my own recognizance. In order for me that I would go to outpatient treatment. And I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, that's not going to work. I said, you don't see me. And this is Judge McKinley. I've been going to Judge McKinley since I was a kid. And so he told me, he sent me to outpatient 110 Kraus or whatever it is, 410 Kraus. And I told him, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to last in outpatient. And he was like, well, go try. So I went there, and I went for the evaluation. And I left, and I kept getting high. I didn't want to, but I was going to meetings. I was still going to meetings. I was getting high, but I was going to meetings. And I was telling him, man, I can't stop getting high. And next time I went to court, he gave me an ultimatum. He's like, you go get help. We'll set it up for you. There's a place called Dick Van Dyke in Ovid, New York. You need to get to Auburn, right? And they'll pick you up from there. And I was like, great. And it was like a week away. And then about 3 days later, my sister and my god sister sat me down for an intervention. And I was like, listen, you don't even know. I'm already gone. I got rehab waiting 3 days. So I got high that last time. It got so bad they would not even give me a beer. They wouldn't give me nothing. I didn't have no clothes. I didn't have nothing. And I didn't have $4 to get to Auburn, to the bus station down here. So my brother gave me about 3 pair of pants, some socks, and some drawers. He bought that for me in the day to go. He gave me a little bag to take it in. My sister gave me $4. All I needed to do was get on the bus. And I got downtown Syracuse and to get ready to get on the bus, and this bum walked by with a 40 ounce of beer. And at that moment, I was like, what do I do? Thank God I got on the bus. I didn't buy a beer. I got on the bus. They dropped me down here at the bus station. The cab pulled up and they took me to Dick Van Dyke. I completed Dick Van Dyke. It was supposed to be a 28-day program, but I was so afraid to come home that they kept me for 42 days. They told me I was one of those people that needed it. I was shot. I was done. They got fattened up and everything, and they sent me to Grace House. And so through Grace House, I started going to Chad, outpatient treatment program, and I was finished. So I was doing everything to the letter. Like, I was so afraid to go use again. I was going to 3 meetings a day. They said make 90 meetings in 90 days. I went to 3 meetings a day. I did everything they told me to do. I went to outpatient. I never missed a day. I never peed dirty. I did everything they told me to do in Grace House, and they kicked me out. They kicked me out of Grace House saying that I falsified volunteer work documents. I've never heard of that before, but they said I wasn't there. So I went and got a petition stating to all these places that I had been that I was there, that I did not make a mistake. They kicked me out anyway. At that point, I didn't know what to do. I went to Chad and I talked to the counselors there, and they told me, well, go to Options for Independence. Maybe they can help you. And I went in there and I started, telling them, listen, man, I didn't do this, man. I'm just going to go back home and get high, whatever. Now, it's nothing else left. And they said, listen, why don't you go to the Chapel House? You got to be homeless for us to help you. So I said, man, I don't want to do this. I said, listen, just go to the Chapel House. So I went to the Chapel House, and I asked the person at Chapel House, look at these people, and I didn't realize I'm just like you guys, or worse. How long do these people stay? Like, this guy been here a year, this guy been here 8 months, this guy been here 9 months. So I was working through Albert and Sarah at Chapel House, and they performed miracles for me. You hear me? I could not believe it. I was in Chapel House for 8 days. They got this apartment. When I came into this apartment, it wasn't even done. It wasn't even painted. It was nothing. I didn't have nothing but a couple pairs of some clothes that I didn't have nothing in this place. And I was so grateful. I told the landlord, I don't care whatever happens to you, you will not have a problem with me. Options for Independence paid my rent until I got a job. When I got a job, they subsidized my rent. They paid half, and I paid the other half. They made sure I got food stamps. I went to a meeting and told them, well, I just got an apartment and I have nothing in it. People in Alcoholics Anonymous furnished my place, man. You hear me? I'm sorry, guys, but I couldn't believe it. They gave me a bed, a couch, dishes. They gave me everything in this place, That was like the first 2 months I was here. I couldn't believe that had to be a miracle, man, I'm telling you. It was like at this time, I don't care how many times I got clean before. This was truly God showing up for me, man. And I vowed right there that I'm not going to use again. I'm not picking up again. And so I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings. And I was so grateful. Like, I had been corporate kitchen trainer for 3 restaurants. I had been doing this 20 years, and here I am at Buffalo Wild Wings. Right, I couldn't be more happy. My checks were like $112. I was so happy to have that. I rode my bike back and forth to that job. The bus, the people that drive the bus waved to me. They knew I was, and they still do.